For so many years, my favorite seat in a theater was the front row. I would be there with a bouquet of flowers in my hand and a bag of candy at my feet and my phone propped up, ready to record and capture the big moments because I was a theater mom. And I spent about 15 years of my life in theaters watching musicals, choir performances, and dance recitals. And if there was a theater in my city, one of my kids probably found their way into it at some point in their lives. I really loved being there with them. I loved the feeling of being in the audience and being proud of my kids. And the kids, they really enjoyed being part of performances too. And there were these rehearsal soundtracks that would come with every one of the theater performances, right? So I never realized that I was going to fall in love with musical theater the way that I did. But every single soundtrack, it was played in my car. The CD was played in my car, and we would know all of the words to all of the songs, and we would belt them out and sing them and dance around the house and perform. I think that being a theater mom, I loved being at the shows, but also secretly, I kind of also dreamed that I could be on stage one day too. I actually literally dreamed it because I used to have this recurring dream that I was on stage and the curtains would go up and all the other people on stage would be there and they would know all of the lines and all of the choreography. But I was just standing there frozen and I didn't know any of the dialogue. I think that my subconscious was trying to tell me something back then, but I just wasn't picking it up at the moment. There were two songs that really stuck out to me for forever as my kids did theater, and one of them was from Beauty and the Beast. And my kids were both in this production, and my son, he got to play Maurice, who was Princess Belle's father, and Maurice was an elderly, kind of eccentric inventor, and my son was 15, so he had to put baby powder in his hair and fluff it up, and he had wrinkle lines all over his face and kind of tattered clothes, and he was stumbling around stage and pretending to invent things. It was adorable. And my daughter also had a great role. She got to play a napkin, and she was part of the dance ensemble in the song Be Our Guest, when there was like plates and spoons and forks and knives, and she was a napkin and she was dancing around. And, just like as a theater mom, every role is important, right? Even the napkins. But every night I would watch Belle come out on stage and she would sing her wish song. And her wish song, there were lyrics that said, "I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. I want it more than I can tell. And for once it would be grand to have someone understand. I want so much more than what they've got planned." I thought about those lyrics night after night, and they affected me so deeply, and I couldn't really understand why, except all that I knew is I just would close my eyes and long for adventure and wish that somewhere, someday, I could go out and find this adventure in my life. And the second song was, my daughter was in a show called Once on This Island, and she got to play the beautiful goddess of love. It was a really, really magical show. And the main character in this show, her name was Ti Moune. And Ti Moune would also sing a wish song at the beginning. And her song was about waiting for life to begin. She would sing about how she was sitting in the fields, working with her families, and she wanted a man to drive up in a car and scoop her up out of that field and take her away to start a new adventure somewhere big and bold and beautiful and completely opposite from the life that she had been given so far. And again, I thought about that song, Waiting for Life to Begin, and it really hit me, and I didn't necessarily understand why. But then as time went on, I started thinking about how Belle and Timoon were there. They were characters in these musicals, but they were also kind of like a Greek chorus, like they were standing behind me and singing straight to me and encouraging me in my life, because I became a mom when I was 16, and I graduated from high school and I went to college and I finished college and I got my bachelor's degree, and it took me 8 years, but I did it. Wow. And I got it. And along the way, while I was in college, I met a wonderful man, and we got married and had my daughter, and we bought a house in the suburbs, and we built a really beautiful life. But somewhere along the way, I quietly started packing away parts of me that maybe I didn't feel were so important, like the part of me that wanted to travel, that wanted to sing and to perform and dance and paint and have grand adventures and meet new people that would make me feel alive and laugh until my belly ached. I wanted all of these things, but I became so good at taking care of everyone else that I forgot what it was like to take care of myself and realize what my own needs were. And some point after my kids grew up, I started taking a look around and taking inventory and thinking, when exactly is my life going to begin? And so I started really reevaluating, and after a long period of reflection, I ended my marriage and I got my own apartment. And I started saying yes to everything. I wanted to feel what it was like to be alive and to really live. And so I started taking those dance classes, and I signed up for singing lessons, and I joined a choir, and I started singing karaoke. And I promise I'm a terrible singer, but I don't even care. I just wanted to be there and feel something. I started swimming and sunbathing, and I started storytelling, and it felt so amazing to just be able to do all of the things that I had always wanted to do. And I also met someone, and he was curious about the world in a way that I had never experienced before, and that curiosity made me feel so much more alive than I had ever felt. And together we started exploring museums and aquariums, hiking trails. We would travel together, and we would go to state parks and national parks, and we would watch butterflies float through meadows, and we would watch woodpeckers just absolutely slamming their beaks into trees. And we would laugh and laugh and laugh until our bellies ached, and people around us would be like, what are they doing? They're crazy. But we didn't care. We were having the best time together. And one day, not long after we had met, we took a trip to the Exploratorium in San Francisco. And out of all of the science museums that I've visited in the world, the Exploratorium is still my favorite. It's just a place that you can go and play and laugh and experiment and pretend that you're 8 all over again and run through the museum. And we were having such a good time. And he called me over and he said, Lorraine, I want you to come sit over here. So he led me to this wooden bench and he said, sit right here on this side of the bench and put your arm on the middle handrest. And then he did the same on the other side. And he reached his hand out to me and he said, put your hand on my hand. Now, up until this point, we were still just friends and we clearly liked each other, but we hadn't voiced it out loud. It was just kind of this quiet feeling that I knew we were both feeling, and we had kind of intentionally not tried to touch each other at all. This was going to be the first time that I was making skin-to-skin contact with this man. And so slowly and tentatively, I reached my hand out and I put it very carefully on top of his hand. And all of a sudden, this beautiful piano music started playing. And I gasped and I snatched my hand away. And he just laughed and I looked into his eyes. And he had the most beautiful green eyes with the longest black lashes. And he smiled at me and I smiled back. And so slowly I put my hand back on top of his. And immediately the music started playing again. And it was like we were in this rom-com. It was just like everyone else disappeared in the whole world. And it was just the two of us staring into each other's eyes with this beautiful piano music just swirling and encompassing us. And it felt like jolts of electricity were flying out of our bodies at the same time. And that was the moment I fell in love. And for many years after, we traveled and we sailed and we snorkeled and we had such wonderful adventures, and we even celebrated really quiet moments alone too. Like, he would come over and my cat absolutely adored him. And if any of you have cats, you know that when your cat gets attached to somebody like that, you're practically engaged. It's just like, this is your person. I had this lifelong dream that I always wanted to go to the International Balloon Fiesta in New Mexico. And together we made that dream happen. We planned a week in New Mexico and we went to botanical gardens and hot springs and historical sites, and we traveled and ate like I can't even tell you how many enchiladas, and they were so delicious, so wonderful. Everything there was so yummy. And one day, early morning, we woke up before the sun rose and we got on a bus and traveled to the fairgrounds, and we arrived on the grass. It was still dark outside. We were wrapped in blankets. We were sitting there together, and one by one, the balloons ignited, and they started lighting up, and they started ascending into the sky. And the moon was still out, and the stars were still out, and we watched these balloons rise, and they were illuminated against the dark sky, and the sun began to rise, and the stars began to fade, and we watched hundreds of balloons float above us. They were all so colorful and so beautiful, and we sat there hugging and snuggling and watching these balloons, and it was probably the most magical moment, one of the most beautiful mornings that I've ever had in my life. And I was there watching this with somebody that I truly loved, one of my favorite memories. But sometimes beautiful memories aren't enough to sustain a lasting relationship, because He was significantly younger than me, and we knew that our life paths were never going to align. We were never going to have the same futures, and so we knew that we had to let each other go. And so eventually we did. We had to make the hard decision to break up, and I thought that that was going to be the end of my grand adventure. I thought that after he left that I was just going to be wilted like a flower again in the corner and not feel alive. But what I realized instead was that I was still standing, and the parts of me that learned to laugh and live and feel joy and paint and do karaoke and sing and dance and perform and stand on a stage storytelling, she was still there, and she was still feeling so much joy and so much happiness still. And what I also realized was that when Belle was singing about finding adventure in the great wide somewhere, it didn't necessarily have to be with somebody else, right? And Timoon singing about waiting for life to begin, it didn't have to be that she had to find somebody to take her to where her life could begin. And that reoccurring dream that I had about standing on stage frozen while everyone else knew the lines, I don't have that dream anymore.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much. What a great story. The twists, the turns, the ups and downs. But she's still standing, and you still have that dream. And it's all about you. And you keep on keeping on.
That's beautiful.
Okay, our next storyteller is Jean. Jean Nolan. Jean was a storyteller at our program about a year ago. She did the open mic, and now she is on the big stage. Jean is a storyteller. She's also an intersex advocate, and she's a former probation officer.
Whoa.
Nice collection of skills. And she also focuses on how people with different perspectives deal with truths. And she's from all three of her professions. Jean.
Thank you. Well, America has been having a love affair with cars for as long as I can remember. That new car with the new car smell. That old restored car. Old car or new car. The car you had in college that got you through. Or the car you took on a road trip across the United States. A car that purred or roared. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you any of those stories, but I am going to tell you a love story. Here it was, 1986. I just moved to Oakland, California from New York. I just graduated college, 26. I'm going to graduate school in Orinda. Somehow I've snagged an apartment at 1200 Lakeshore, this swanky condo at the end of Lake Merritt, but I don't have a car. But I've got to get to school, so there I am taking BART all the way to Orinda, walking a mile to campus, and this is going on for a couple weeks. It's not easy. I'm waiting on my student loan so I can get that car. Finally, it comes in, but I don't know anything about cars. What am I gonna get? Well, I called up my dad. I'm looking through the newspaper. I said, Dad, I see a Chevy Nova for $500. What do you think? He said, well, they're good cars. They're heavy. If you get hit, you'll be all right. All right, so now I've got to go look at this car. But again, I can't get there, so I've got to take a bus. I take a bus from downtown Oakland all the way to San Leandro. It's like an hour. I am the only white person on that bus for an hour. People getting on and off, they're looking at me. I'm like, I don't know. I get off finally, and I still gotta walk about a mile to go see this car. But I get there, and the guy shows me the car. It's a 1970 Chevy Nova, a bench seat, so romantic. Rusted blue on the outside, cracked interior. What do I know? He said, let's take it for a test drive. I get in the car. He says, let's get on the freeway. I'm driving. He says, punch it. Whoa, this has got a V8. I'm like, okay. Again, I don't know anything about cars. We get back to his house. I don't want to get back on this bus. This looks good enough. Here's the $500. I drive away. Well, I'm curious now. You know, I can drive around the area. I don't know anything, so I'm just driving around. And what happens next, I still can't even believe. I'm getting on the on-ramp on Grand Avenue. I don't know that the Grand Avenue on-ramp takes you straight to the Bay Bridge. Now I'm on the right side of the Bay Bridge with no money, no gas. I was not intending this. And I pull up to the toll taker, and I said, I don't have any money. I don't want to go to San Francisco. She gives me this look of disgust, but she says, hold on. She stops all traffic in both directions. I've never seen this happen before or since. And then she goes, go ahead. And I'm like, go where? I've never even been over the Bay Bridge. She goes, just go around. And there I went, all around, all the traffic stopped. Again, I've never seen that, right? Well, I've got to get a job now, right? I need some money. So I interview for this job, and I get hired to market champagne for the Rothschild family in France. Never heard of the champagne. Rothschild usually has red wine. I'd studied wines. Well, now I'm riding around in the Nova with, in the back I have a cooler with champagne, and I've also got another job selling wine and spirits, so I think I'm pretty cool in my old little car, driving up to this swanky place, parking, but occasionally I would get an itch. And I'd say, let's go up to Napa and Sonoma and go taste all the wines up there. Well, I had the Rothschild champagne, so I just went right into all the vineyards, talked to the owners, and said, hey, don't you want to try the Rothschild champagne? Before I knew it, they're bringing me back and tasting from barrels, giving me a special tour. Well, those trips usually wound up with me and the Nova pulled over to the side of the road because I drank too much. Well, now I've got this job, and things are going pretty good. But then one day, I'm driving in Jack London, Sunday morning, no traffic out, real quiet, just having a good old time, and I go through a stop sign, and boom! I get T-boned in that Chevy Nova. I'm okay. That's a heavy car.
Fabulous.
I hobble my car back to my apartment. I call up an old boyfriend. He comes with a crowbar, pulls out the fender, rigs it up with a hanger. Well, I'm still hobbling around for a little while longer. One day I'm in San Francisco on Mission and 24th. I get out the car, and I'm on the right side of the road, open the car, and all of a sudden, a car came and scratched my door. My door scratched that car from one end to the other, and that car just kept on going. I'm like, is my car gonna shut? Oh my God, what just happened? That dependable Nova shut that door like nothing had ever happened. Well, like I said, I hobbled around in that Nova for a few more months. My Champaign job ended. I quit the other job. I was drinking too much. I can't do this anymore. I went to quit. They offered me more money and I still quit. I drove away in that Chevy Nova. Must have been the right thing to do, because a few weeks later, I'm tooling around San Francisco. That Chevy Nova died. And I left it right there on the street. 26, 1980s, stupid. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but I left it there. And then all of a sudden, a month later, I get the probation job. I need a car, I get a car, another $500. I meet this wonderful man too. Well, I see he's got a brand new truck. He's 6 years younger than me, but he seems to have it all together. I'm driving around in this car that's got no registration, no insurance. I did have it on the Nova, but now I'm being irresponsible again. Well, I go to DMV to register the car, and I get up to the line, and the guy goes, "Oh, hey, Miss Norman," pulls up my information, and he says, "You can't register. You have thousands of dollars here. Your car got a whole bunch of tickets in San Francisco. It got towed and stored, and you owe a couple $1,000s." And to add insult to injury, he goes, "Did you know you bought a salvage car?" I'm like, "What's a salvage car?" He said, "Oh, this car had already been totaled once before, but the guy kept it and sold it." In that moment, I was so ashamed and so scared. I was horrified that I had done this. I had just left this vehicle there irresponsibly, and now I'm having to pay the price. And I stood there, and I wept in DMV. Not something I would normally do, but I was just that ashamed and that heartbroken at myself that I could do something like that. And I didn't have the money to pay for that car now. I didn't know what I was going to do. The DMV worker, he looks at me pitifully. He says, "I tell you what, go out to lunch with me tomorrow. I'll wipe out your day."
Oh my God.
I have a boyfriend. I go home. I tell my boyfriend exactly what happened. Supposed to go meet for lunch at a public place. He says, "Go." You don't have the money either, so he wants. He trusts me. I go to have lunch. Not one pass. Nothing. We go back to DMV. He wipes it out. I'm free. Now maybe somebody in that day would have said, "I'm so lucky I got away with this," and they would have went on with their life and thought, "I'll get lucky again, taking those chances." But right after that moment, I changed that day. That Nova changed my life. There was no longer an option to be irresponsible and do stupid things and wait to see what's going to happen. And that's why this is a love story. I'll always love that Nova for the
Joe. Love of an old should be Nova and the DMV. I should be so lucky.
Right?
Fortunate, positive DMV outcome. All right, thank you for that story. Nice twist on love and romance. Okay, our next storyteller is someone we're all familiar with in the Bay Area, and that's Craig Burns.
Yeah.
Craig wears a lot of hats. Craig you still a nurse, Craig?
I'm still a nurse.
All right, so Craig is a nurse. He works at the San Francisco Youth Guidance Center with guys in difficult situations, trying to turn them around. He is also a puppeteer. He does puppetry in the hood. He takes puppetry out to communities that normally aren't exposed to these kinds of activities. So Craig, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Ben. I'm just gonna adjust here. Thank you for coming today. Today, what a beautiful day it is outside, and you've chosen to be here. So that means that I'm gonna give you a story that hopefully will make you happy. My phone rings and I pick it up. It's my sister on the other line. Mom has just suffered a massive heart attack. She's gonna die soon. If you want to say goodbye, you need to get to the emergency room right away. I say, yeah, I'll be there. I get in my car and start driving to the emergency room in Concord, John Muir Hospital. My mind is racing. I'm trying to keep the adrenaline from getting me a speeding ticket, but I'm trying to get there as quick as I can. When I pull into the parking lot, I run into the emergency room, and I'm greeted by one of the nurses, and I say, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" The nurses anticipated my arrival, and she just says, "Come with me." No fanfare. I follow her past the kiosk in the emergency room, and we go to the back room. This is where the patients' rooms are. She's not walking in a hurry, but I'm in a hurry. And she gets me to a room, and at that moment, somebody walks out of the room who's wearing a collar like a chaplain. And he says, he sees me, and he says, "If you want to talk later, I'm available." I open the door of this room, and I see right away a doctor and a nurse conferencing by my mom's bed. There's no monitors that are on. There's no tubes into my mom. I see a person lying on a bed that's not moving. But other than that, it's quiet in the room. I start approaching the head of the bed, and that's when the doctor acknowledges me and says, "I'm sorry for your loss." Take as much time as you want with your mom. And the doctor and nurse walk out of the room. So now I'm alone in this room with my mom. I just come to the bed and I say, "Mom, I love you. I love you so much. I acknowledge, I noticed like a sort of this flicker of the eyelids. I know as a nurse that that's sort of a death reflex. At that moment, I'm compelled to be as close to my mom as I can. And I climb onto her bed. And I hug her as tight as I can. I say it again. Mom, I love you. Don't die. I feel some kind of regurgitate or something in her stomach that's like rumbling. It's like gas. And I just, in this embrace, and I squeeze really tight, and I heard this sort of like, because it's like a sound. And if I really made my mind conscious, the sound said, "Get off me." My brain goes into sort of overdrive, and I know that there's a potential for the brain to regurgitate information and have one last flicker of a voice that can come out of a person. Okay, I made that up. But I disregard that, whatever the voice, I squeeze harder. Get off of me. Oh my God. Get off of my mother. And I don't see the pallor, the grayness of a deaf person, but I see actual eyes that are open and there's color in the face. Mom, you died and you came back. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Mom, I'm so happy. Mom says, would you quit talking so much and get me some water? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, a little while, I find myself now on the second floor of the hospital in the med-surg room with my mom. And I start to tell my mom, Mom, you were in asystole. Your heart was not having any response. There was no electrical activity. It's like a miracle, Mom. It's incredible. Like the doctor, when I asked for a diagnosis, said you were a dead person who came back to life. It's incredible, Mom. So what was it like? What's it like to be on the other side? Did you see some lights? Did you float above me? Did you see me and just get annoyed that it was on top of you? Is that what was going on? Is that why you came back? What? Come on, Mom, talk to me. What's going on here? Mom has oxygen in her nose. She's sitting in a wheelchair, and she says, "Do you always talk this much?" Why don't you do something and get me outside so I can get some air, some fresh air? Can you do that? Yeah. So I check in with the nurses. There's no question my mom had a massive heart attack, and there's no explanation why she came back. But they are in agreement that if I can take the portable oxygen machine, I can take Mom outside. So we descend the elevator, and I push her out into daylight. And I look for a tree in the shade, sort of away from the entrance. Mom says, "Stop here." Now, can you get me a cigarette out of my purse? Mom, that's contraindicated for anybody who had a massive heart attack. That's that could cause your coronary arteries to seize up. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Okay, would you deny a dead person a cigarette? Hell no. Hell no. I get that cigarette out of her purse, and I stick it in her mouth. As I do that and I'm about to light it, I notice that there's this school of like doctors and nurses walking out of the emergency room, and they're looking at me as I'm lighting that cigarette. I don't give a damn. I light the cigarette. Mom inhales, coughs. She doesn't keel over. Smoke billows out of her nose. She's relaxed. She's kind of almost got a smile on her face. That was my opportunity to ask her, "Okay, Mom, what really happened? What happened when you died? When you went over to the other side? I need to know. Not because I'm a good son who wants to help his mother, but because I want to know it's going to happen when I die. I want to connect with all the people I love who have died. Are they there? You got first-hand knowledge, Mom. Please share." Mom takes another hit of that cigarette, blows it out. Doesn't tell me. She goes, I don't know. So what am I left with? I'm left with trying to connect with people who have died the same way I always have, through memories. These memories are painful sometimes. They're joyful. But that's what I got left. Thank you. Okay, I need 30 seconds of indulgence, if you would mind. Okay. So you can join me, or you can, I think this is sort of an appropriate, since Ben had a close friend die, I'm just going to name, because this is personal to me, people, I'm going to take 30 seconds and name some people who have died in my life that have been very important, that I love, that I'm still trying to keep in my heart and their spirit with me. So if you have somebody right now, take a breath with me. and I'm going to start. I remember my mother, Melva, who's died. I remember my father, Patrick, who's died. I remember my sister, Maureen, who's died. I remember my uncle, who's died. I remember my grandfather, Melvin, and my grandmother, Bertha. I remember my in-laws, Judd and Beatty. I remember my nephews, Christopher and Matthew. My niece, Melinda, who died.
All right. Good. All right. Woo! That was a heavy one.
Yeah, come on.
I tell you, love and romance takes many, many forms. Absolutely. Very heartfelt.
Thank you,
Very appropriate. Okay, last but not least, Amy B., also from Sacramento. In a nutshell, storytelling. She always is socially anxious misfit, overthinking,
Hey, don't tell them all my secrets.
learning to be brave anyway.
That's right.
And she really loves being frenemies with failure.
When I was 23, I ran away to here, California. And I left everything behind in Colorado. Everything. My shitty ass family, my terrible circumstances, all of it. And it felt fantastic. And I had a good plan too, a good life plan. I was gonna find money somehow. Thank you. I was gonna get a van somehow, and then I was gonna go get lost in Canada. Solid. Right? You're on my side, right? Okay. Good.
Go for it.
And I picked California because I had some friends that lived in Santa Cruz, and they were willing to let me crash at their house while I executed my super solid plan. And one of these friends was named Aaron, and I knew him. Him and I had a little bit of history, kind of a two ships passing in the night kind of thing, but a little different. Like, if you asked Aaron about, oh, sorry, I messed up.
You're good.
There's not? Oh, good. That's good to hear. Okay, so we were like two ships passing in the night. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you, is I wanted to tell you that we met 3 years prior in New Mexico when Aaron was on tour with his ska band. And I spent 4 days with the band, and Aaron and I had this instant connection. It was amazing. And I think if you asked him, he would tell you all about how we stayed up all night and sharing everything, like until the break of dawn, bearing our souls to each other, and how it felt like we've kind of known each other our entire lives. And that's all true. It was that level of connection. But for me, well, I had never wanted to jump someone's bones like I wanted to jump this guy's bones. It was intense. And there was one night when Aaron was on stage and he was playing drums like a maniac, and he just shot up. All of a sudden he kicked the snare drum over, he ran to the front of the stage and he ripped off his shirt, just revealing this manly, barrel-chested, massive hair, just hair all over the place, and it's glistening with sweat, and I'm like, holy fuck. This is so hot. This is like the most heterosexual I have felt in my entire life. I cannot get enough of it. I can't stop watching him all night long. My eyes are following him, and I'm just like, I want that man. But the tour ended, and we didn't hook up because, well, Aaron was still a little bit religious, and I was still very much in my shitty ass circumstances, and we lived in different states, so it just made sense to kind of deem our connection geographically tragic and move on from there. And we did. We remained friends.
And so this is what the mindset I'm in when I'm coming to California. Aaron and I are friends, just friends, platonic. All the way from Colorado, I'm reminding myself of this. Platonic, platonic, platonic. Even going up to his front door, I am telling myself this. But then he opens the door, we look at each other, our eyes lock, and it's like my heart just falls straight down into my vagina. All this electricity starts shooting out of me. It's shooting out of him too, and our bodies are like buzzing at each other. It's so intense. It's like, I don't really believe in soulmates, but this was soulmate level shit happening between us. Like, my DNA wants to make a baby with his DNA. It is intense, total, complete, head over heels, in love with each other. Not platonic at all. So began an entire week where we just walk all over Santa Cruz, and we're having these deep, revealing conversations with each other, and we're also making out as much as possible in as many places as possible. It's fantastic. This is the best I have ever felt in my entire life. I feel present, I feel alive, and I never thought anything like this could happen to me. It just never seemed like in the cards for someone like me, and yet here I was in California, not just happy, but in love. And so we get to the end of this very awesome week, and a bunch of friends show up from out of town, so we decide to have a party at Aaron's house. And of course this party turns into a rager, and the booze is flowing, and it's one of those nights where every single person I talk to hands me a beer. So I'm pretty drunk, and I'm wandering around. I'm like kind of looking for Aaron. I don't see him anywhere. So I go outside. I just sit on the outside couch with a bunch of buddies, and then all of a sudden, there he is. I see him, Aaron. He's at the edge of the party, and it's kind of like voodoo. My body just rises up on its own accord and floats over to him, and we fall into this sloppy embrace, and we're making out like we haven't seen each other all night, even though it's been like maybe 45 minutes. And we're holding each other so tightly, and we just kind of crumble to the ground, and we roll out into the middle of the street, and we're just groping each other like crazy, and cars are coming. They're passing us, they're swerving us, they're honking, and we do not care. We're dry humping right in the middle of the street. We're trying to rub our clothes off of each other, and finally I can hear from far away, "Hey, get out of the road!" And it pops. It pops through. I can hear it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah." We come up for air, and we kind of dust off, and we fix our, and I can see people at the party snickering at us, and we just grab each other's hands, and we like head back to the party with these big dopey grins on our faces, and we're walking around the party. We're walking around the party, and we are absolutely shameless. There's not an ounce of shame in us because we are in love. That is the strength of our love. We are so in love that we have become omnipotent. Like nobody can take us off of our love cloud. Like you can't touch us, and that's the state I'm in. That's the level of my endorphins when I look around the party and I realize that my best friend in the whole world, Bruce, is missing from the party. And this won't work. Like, Bruce is the reason I know Aaron. Like, there would be no California if there hadn't been a Bruce. And Bruce has to be here. He needs to be, he didn't need to see all that, but he needs to be here at the party. He needs to be with us, witnessing this. And so I start asking around, like, where's Bruce? Have you seen Bruce? Has anybody seen Bruce? And finally somebody tells me that he's stuck downtown at Lulu's Cafe. Oh, well, this won't do. I know what to do because I'm superhuman now. I'm filled with the power of love. I am invincible. I can do anything. And I'd say, Aaron, give me the keys to your car. And remember, he's invincible too. So he's like, yeah, here's the keys. Okay. And I'm very focused now. I'm very like, we got to do this rescue mission. We got to save Bruce. And if we're having a rescue mission, doesn't a rescue mission need a crew? yeah. So I start recruiting my friends. You gotta come, gotta do this rescue mission. And it's way, way, way too easy for me to convince people to get into the car and let me drive them around to go save somebody who definitely does not need to be saved. And I did think when I got into the driver's seat and I'm putting the seatbelt on and I'm putting the keys in the ignition, and I thought to myself, Amy, you're pretty drunk. Should you be driving? But that thought was replaced almost instantly by another thought, which was, oh my God, guys, I have the best mixtape in the world for this adventure. Yeah, and we're all, woo, let's go. And we slap that in and off we go, driving down Pacific Avenue to go save Bruce. Yeah, oh shit. And we almost made it. We almost got there. Because I'm a pretty good driver, even drunk. And we were about 20 feet away before the flashing lights got me. And when the cops came out of the car and they're walking towards us, all the superpowers that love has given me just drain out of me. Because things are about to go bad fast. And Aaron's in the passenger seat. He gives me his registration, hand it to the cop. The cop says, wants to see my license. And that's when I have to tell the cop, I don't have a license. No license. Long story. So he invites me out of the car to walk in a straight line, touch my nose, breathe into the breathalyzer. The other cop goes and runs my name through their computer. He comes back and he says, do you know you have a warrant for your arrest for failure to appear in Colorado? Well, yeah, I do. I do know that, but do you have to say that in front of Aaron? So the cops, they arrest me and they escort me to the cop car and they drive me down to the Santa Cruz jailhouse, and all I can think about is how disappointed in myself I am that I feel like I've just barely even been in Santa Cruz and I'm already messing everything up. And also, Aaron has just gotten a very real lesson in how much trouble I can be. And I'm already letting him go in my head, because there's no way someone like him is going to want to be with someone like me after a night like tonight. And I have to let it go. And I spend the night in jail, in a holding cell with a bunch of other drunk people, thinking to myself, how the hell am I going to get out of this one? The next morning, I hear my name over the speaker, and then a guard comes and says that I've been bailed out of jail. And they give me my stuff, and they release me, and I kind of go out into the morning sun, and I'm wondering to myself, who do I know that would pay for my freedom? Like, I can't really think of anybody. And there he is, Aaron. He's over there, he's leaning against his mother's car, and he's got a steaming cup of coffee. And it turns out that right after I got arrested, so somebody in the car, one of our friends, was sober. So he drove Aaron home. Aaron called the bail bonds place, and they gave him $2,000 in return for the pink slip on his car. At the first sight of Aaron, my heart instantly drops right back down into my vagina, where it's been to this day. And like two giant magnets, we just rush towards each other and we proceed to suck face. And right then, I knew that my big old plans to go get lost in Canada would have to wait. Because Aaron didn't owe me anything, and yet he had shown up. He was there for me. And I could only think of one kind of person who would do something like that, and that was a good person. And it's probably clear to you that I've made a lot of bad mistakes in my life. But every once in a while, my intuition is correct. And that's how I felt that morning in front of the jailhouse, feeling a small voice telling me that I was right about Aaron. And all I wanted in the world from that moment on was to make sure that Aaron was right about me. Thank you.
all the way. Now we want to hear what you are up to and what others are as well. So why don't you start off? What do you have going?
I am the co-creator of In a Nutshell Storytelling in Sacramento at the Sophia Theater. We do monthly curated shows based on a theme for semi to professional storytellers come and they tell their story. Our next one is July 31st. The theme is Best in Show, stories about our animals. JP's going to be there, JP Frary.
All right, JP.
Yeah.
He's going to tell a most excellent story. And we also have an open mic called Wild Card. It's kind of like the Moth, a little different with our own little spin on it. A little bit like the Conundrum, but yeah, yours is better, I think. Better judging system. We're working on it. And that's every third Wednesday at Ten Cellars in Midtown. So if you're ever around and you want to tell a story, you want to put your name in our knot hat. We do not have a hat. I don't know why, it's a knot hat. And yeah, that would be great. Come on down.
Hey,
Or up.
do you have any
Over?
cards? Do you have any cards to hand out?
I think we do, yeah. Just right over there. See the guy with the birthmark? He'll give you some
Okay.
cards.
Also,
Very
punchline.
And also so there's 3 nutshells and 2 of them are going to be at the Punchline San Francisco on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Keith Lowell Jensen, who's a renowned comedian, storyteller, and host of In a Nutshell. I'm going to be there. Kyrie Shabazz is going to be there. And Bo Ryder Davis, if you guys are big fans of Bo.
Yeah, no vote. Okay, thank you. All right, Diane, tell us what you're up to.
Well, this was my first time being invited to speak, so I have no other engagements.
You will, you will.
You will, you keep telling. Greg,
Well, I gotta say, me and Amy just met today for the first time. And we both got second place at the Moth. Way to go!
all right.
And Amy forgot to mention, because I just was there this week at the Larks Theater. You're gonna be there sorry Amy. Amy's gonna be a featured storyteller at the Larks Theater in August. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Where's that?
It's in Larkspur.
Larkspur.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Called
Corey
the Lark.
Rosen to host that.
Glorious.
I'm
It's
going
called
on a
Saint
canoe
Vincent.
trip for the month of August, so I'm hoping not to tell too many stories, but I'll send one back I'll tell when I get back. But it's great to be here.
All
Thank you,
right,
guys.
thank you, Greg. And busy. Okay, Lorraine.
Okay. Thanks again to Amy. I've been selected to tell a story at our hometown art museum, the Cracker Art Museum in Sacramento. I think that's coming up August 13th. It'll be campfire stories, and I'm very excited.
All right. Okay, before we open up for open mic, I want to recognize our co-producers, Albertina Padilla in the back, Claire Castell, Jennifer Barnes, and Hills Archie. We all work really hard coming up with themes, trying to find new storytellers. So go to our website if you are interested or if you know someone that you can refer to us for future tellers.
So if we
Ira. Did you mention Ira in the back?
Ira,
Okay,
Who?
Sorry.
yes,
I'm not.
recognize Ira Merlo. Guy that keeps the doors open.
Yeah, exactly.
Through thick and thin, all the way through COVID, he kept this thing alive and
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So Bill or Ben, either one. If we want to go on the What's My Story website, do we just Google What's My Story and it'll come up?
What'syourstory.live.
What's your story?
What'syourstory.live.
L-I-V-E.
Dot live.
Dot live?
Live. Dot live. Okay? I'll give you the info. Okay, it's time for open mic. And remember, we've got 5 minutes to tell our stories, okay? So who is in the hat? First
Monica.
name. Monica, come on,
Monica.
Monica. Monica's going to be one of our feature storytellers next time out. Just put it down.
From the bottom.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, my mother and I had a curious relationship. My mother was an upright woman. She was organized. She was authoritative. She was basically perfect.
Basically,
Perfect. I saw red as my power color. And so I rode my red stick horse, wearing my red pony hat, wearing my sister's, much larger sister's, red petticoat tied up under my 4-year-old arms, and with all the energy I could scrape up, I made wind blow through my Dutch boy haircut. We were ill-matched. Now, most people think of love as red, but for me it's always been green. You know, things come up out of the ground, growth, richness, green. And I thought that for a really, really, really long time. About 40 years into a relationship, I noticed that it had gone kind of silvery green. And I thought, there you go. I knew I was right. Sage green, wisdom. It didn't take more than, another year and a half or so when I noticed, that green. It's gotten a little furry around the edges. And I recognized it for mold. Well, what's a girl to do? She jumps, indeed leaps, into what we're just going to call fertile brown. And indeed, I did start to grow. I grew, and I grew. I grew until I'm standing on a stage. But, you know, it can get kind of lonely up here. And then I found a peach. You know, some people look at life as a box of chocolates. I look at it as a pack of Crayola crayons. I've been through red, been through green. What I was looking at was a peach. No, wrong idea. Not the kind of peach that Sherwin-Williams sells you. I'm talking a peach. A peach so ripe, it gets that almost purple look to it. And then you open it up, and the red deep into the seed. And the flesh is such a rich combination of yellow and orange. It is so succulent. You can just about feel the juice dripping down your chin. And you take a bite. Well, let me just put it this way, ladies. Reach for the peach.
Reach for the peach. And this is peach season. Isn't that right, John?
You bet.
John brought me peaches straight from his tree. All right, who's number 2?
Donna.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. What do you mean, oh, Lord?
Hold on.
What's that?
Gotta have your bag.
Gotta have my bag. I do. Okay.
You gonna sit right there?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit right here. Okay. Oh, I can actually see people out there. Whoa, very good.
I think that's close enough. Go ahead.
Okay. So, about a year ago, I took a class from that master storyteller and puppet master, Willie Claflin. I had already plunked down $3 for a puppet. I should have done this before I got up here. Just ruined the story.
You're building the tension.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, the weight that bucket
Pretend
up.
we're just starting. Okay, so I plunked down $3 in a puppet.
That's when we got together.
Well, hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Calvin Crow.
Well, Calvin, do you want to tell people something about yourself?
The first thing to know about me is that I'm smart.
Really? How do you know? Do you take tests?
No, but I do hard things and I solve tough problems.
Well, can you give us an example?
Yeah. So, the second thing to know about me is that I love peanuts. And the other day, someone left peanuts out for me on their patio table, but they were in the shed. How to get them out? So I went over to the edge of the table. I dropped them down. No luck. I looked up. Ooh. A tree. I went up on a branch. I dropped them down. No luck. Way high branch. I got way up there. I dropped them down. Bingo! Yummy lunch.
Well, that's pretty impressive. Is there anything else that we might want to know about you? I'm talking to the crow. The crow's not talking to me. Is there anything else they might want to know about you?
Well, like I'm staying on the food theme, where I like to be. If you start putting out things for me, hint, peanuts are a great choice, and you do it at the same time, more or less, at the same place, you might find a surprise coming back.
Really? Like what?
Oh, I like shiny. It could be anything. It could be a pebble or a button or an earring. You've heard of Trader Joe? Some folks call me Trader Crow.
So, who loves puppets and animals? Kids, of course. So my dear friend Hanan in May invited me to bring this guy and tell stories in her kindergarten class. And boy, did we have fun. Oh, those kids were out there helping Calvin drive away the hawk and looking through choices of things that Calvin might have left behind. And it looking through I always do this. Looking through things that people, and when it was over, the kiddos were allowed to come up and touch or pet Calvin. It was so sweet. And two of the little girls had their own stuffies there. So the three of them had a little meet and greet. So I have been invited, when school starts up again, to come once or twice a month in the classroom to tell stories in Hanan's class. And for me, it's a way to get kids back into my life, because unfortunately, I'm not a grandmother. And it's also an avenue into some more storytelling. Plus, this has gotten me to do a deep dive into crow behavior. So much so that even though there's a strong chance that a crow was the culprit who broke open the dove's eggs in my her nest on my deck and drove her away, I still follow them with amusement and curiosity, even to the point where I'm thinking about putting out some peanuts myself just to see what happens.
And I'm waiting!
You can forget the love theme.
How you doing, John? Got it?
All right, come on, I'm sorry. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for the Crows. Another great way to expand storytelling, puppetry, and getting back into some of those elementary and middle school kids. All right, who's up next, Albertina?
John.
John,
Oh my God.
come on up,
Not
John.
that guy.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. One step, two step. Do the dance.
Okay, look out. Ahoy, folks.
Uh-huh.
So I'm here to tell you about Steve Jobs and me and flat panel displays and how long it takes for technology to actually become a product. The year's 2000. The flat panel displays, they're all liquid crystal displays, whether it's the TV on your wall or the cell phone in your pocket or the computer on your desktop. The display is called a flat panel display or a liquid crystal display. Same year, 2000, along comes a new kind of display called an organic light emitting diode, OLED. You put an OLED display next to a liquid crystal display, forget about it. That OLED display just blows away the LCD. So the industry looks at this and says, OLED displays are going to take over, they're going to blow away LCD, it's going to happen overnight. Right. So, same year. Okay, if you're in the OLED display, or if you're in the flat panel display manufacturing, well, we'll stick with OLEDs. If you're in the OLED display manufacturing business, like Samsung, the fatal flaw with the OLED display is it's very sensitive to moisture. If you get any moisture inside the display, it turns pixels black. And one black pixel in a display is a reject. If you're a manufacturer, you have to get your yield on your displays up above 98%. So out of 100 displays on a sheet of mother glass for cell phones, you can only have 2 black pixels. That's really hard to do. So what you do is, you start with small displays, like cell phone, and then you gradually get laptops, computers, and finally today, televisions, okay? And in all cases, 2 black pixels, you're out. So Samsung says, okay, and all the rest of them, we gotta start with mobile displays. Well, with a mobile display, there's 3 design parameters. You gotta make it thinner, lighter, and thinner, lighter, okay? So along about that time, year 2000, along comes a company called Vitex that I was working for. Vitex has a thin film moisture barrier that has the water permeability the same as a sheet of glass, 0. And it's 200 nanometers thin, okay? So thin it's hardly even there. So what's that mean? Well, the OLED display is made with 2 pieces of glass with the OLED material in between. Well, with Barrick's encapsulation, we say, hey, display industry, forget about one sheet of glass. You get your glass, put your OLED material down, put your Barrick's encapsulation thin film on top, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. You just cut the weight and the thickness of your display in half. So we said, oh boy, we're going to enable OLED displays to blow out the LCDs. It's going to happen overnight. So my job, I'm VP Business Development. So my job is to go do the missionary work, go visit all the display manufacturers, most of them in Asia, and Korea, Japan, Taiwan, preach the gospel, sign joint development agreements, and so forth. So in February of 2001, I get on a plane, San Francisco, to fly to Tokyo. I'm in row 1. Behind me in row 2, I look around and think, damn, that guy looks just like Steve Jobs. In fact, it is Steve Jobs. So the plane takes off. Now I'm a Mac head. I've been a Mac head since forever. So I'm getting out my PowerBook and all my gear, putting them on the table. And where'd Steve Jobs go? Oh, he's standing over here on the other side of the plane with some tall guy and another guy sitting in a seat. And the tall guy, turns out, his name is John Rubinstein. He's the VP hardware for Apple Computer. He sees me with my PowerBook and he says, hey, thumbs up, come on over here. So I go over there, and there on the tray table is this beautiful brand new G4 titanium PowerBook. It was just introduced at Macworld Expo the month before, in January. Okay. Jobs is standing there and says, hey, you should buy one of these. I said, not yet. I'll wait till you have a full color active matrix OLED display and then I'll buy one. Jobs says, what do you know about OLED displays? I said, well, so I tell him all about thin film moisture barrier, thinner, lighter, bing, bang, boom. He says, you got a business card? Yeah, hang on. So I go back over to my seat, get my card. I come back over. I hand the 3 guys my cards. I'm smart ass, so I said, who are you guys with? Jobs gives me this fuck you look. Okay? Greg Joswiak, who's sitting in the seat, he's the marketing guy. He looks up and says, oh, we're with Apple. I thought Jobs was going to bitch slap him. Anyway, so Jobs turned to Rubinstein and said, hey, look, hook this guy up with Wei Chen, who's our display poobah. And he says, now, McMahon, you keep us advised. Every 3 months, I want to report on how you're doing with your thin film encapsulation, okay? Sure, no worries. Plane lands, okay. They go off to do their thing, and turns out what they were doing was coming up with this. That's an iPod, original iPod, 5 gigabyte hard drive. This could hold 100 albums of music in a device this tiny. This is September 2001. Right after 9/11, by the way. This is like 2 weeks after 9/11. Jobs announces this and shows it off. Okay. So, what did Jobs do then? So 2001, iPod. And it's all about music. That's what it's for music. And Jobs had bought a company called SoundJam that had this great software app. They renamed it iTunes and stuck it on the iPod. Well, now we need the music. So the music industry, the big record companies, Columbia and all the rest of them, are going batshit crazy because their business is going away because of something called Napster. Remember Napster? MP3 music, file sharing, it's all free. The record labels are going nuts. Jobs parachutes in 03. And he says, hey guys, you see this? Now I got a thing called the iTunes Store, okay? So I'll tell you what, music industry guys, we're Apple, we're a little teeny tiny 2% market share. We're nothing compared to Windows and Microsoft. Why don't you let us put your music, your songs, on this? We'll sell the songs for 99 cents each. We won't sell albums, we'll sell individual songs. Which the label thought that was kind of weird. But we'll give you 30% of our revenue. The record label said, go for it. So we did. And so that was 2003. This thing took off like crazy. Okay, I mean, everybody had an iPod or wanted one. Life goes on. What's next? 2007, Jobs comes out with the iPhone, even bigger. Okay. 2010, they come out with the iPad, really good. 2011, Jobs dies. Okay. So, what did I learn from all this? Because we're riding along on this track. In fact, any phone or device that you have that has an OLED display on it, guess what? It's got Barrett's encapsulation. It's got our thin film in it. Okay. Well, what I learned from all this is, if you want to introduce a new technology, you better have a lot of time because it ain't going to happen as fast as you think it's going to happen. I mean, our target with Vitex back in the year 2000, we said, oh, we'll take over the industry with OLEDs in 4 years. Well, guess what? Samsung came out with the first OLED display on a phone called the Galaxy phone, had an OLED display in it. What year? 2014. So we were off by 10 years. And that's the way it always is. So today, what's everybody worried about? Artificial intelligence, oh my God, it's going to kill us all. The robots are going to come down and they're going to eat us or something. Relax. Breathe through your nose. It's going to take a long time for that to happen, and a lot's going to happen. And it's going to be disruptive, and college students can't get jobs, blah, blah, blah. Too bad for that. Just cool it, relax. It's all good.
Technical excursion
Yeah.
into the iPod and iPad and all of that. All right, we got anybody else?
Yes, we do. Ginger.
Ginger Pons, our co-producer.
Hey, Ginger.
Wow, hi. Okay.
It's the early 80s. I'm 31 years old, and I decide I have to leave Marin County. These men that keep breaking up with me, they break my heart. Love is not happening, at least not the way it is here. And I was taking some acting classes, and a friend of mine said, I found you an agent in New York. Wow. I sublet my apartment, I moved to New York. I learned how to get in, walk with intention so no one accosts me on the street. And this agent, he gets me a job in a Martin Scorsese movie. Maybe you know about it. It was called King of Comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the big scenes is we're out in the theater district before the show, and I was wearing this black satin coat with the fur. You saw me, didn't you?
Definitely.
That was me. You're right. And how about this? In the audience, when Jerry Lewis and Robert De Niro were doing the thing, you didn't see that. Okay, the close-up of Robert De Niro, I'm 3 rows back. My earring was in the shot. Okay, all right, I was an extra. I wasn't trying to impress you too much, but I decided, hey, now I'm a wage-earning member of New York society, and I decided I'm gonna turn over a leaf. I'm gonna be a new person, not this, whatever was going on before. I decided to enroll in a class in Soho. Liberating your libido. Okay, the class gathers. There's about a dozen of us. You might imagine all women. And we start revealing the most intimate things about ourselves that we would never even tell anybody. And the instructor says, do you want these things to come true? If you want these things to come true that you want, you gotta start writing affirmations. And no messing around. Don't talk about, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. Write as if it's already happening. I am a sexually liberated woman. Everywhere I go, I meet hot men. My sex life is wild and fulfilling. And boom, things start happening right away. I get invited to the most turned on party I'd ever been in my life. It was on a rooftop of an apartment building in New York City. No ordinary rooftop. Landscaped, furniture, there's a band playing, marijuana wafting through the air, free drinks, and the men. I mean, the women are gorgeous, of course, and there's no competition there, but the men, none of this tie-dye, wrinkled stuff like Marin County. They're dressed in suits and cashmere sweaters, and I spot this man across. Oh, he's so hot. Maybe this is my chance to show up as a liberated woman. He was like a cross between Bob Marley and Bruce Lee. And maybe the Bruce Lee part came because I find out that he is a martial art guy, and he says, why don't you come down to my dojo sometime? He says, yeah, we learn all kinds of things at the dojo. I don't know why this word is turning me on so much. Every time he says dojo, I get all real inside. And I said, okay, I will. And then we meet for coffee, and he takes me over to the dojo and teaches me some moves. He says, hey, there's this club I want to take you to. It's uptown, down where I live. Why don't you come up to my place first, and then we'll go over to the club. This is it. Romance. I'm so excited. In the taxi, driving over. I am a sexually liberated woman. Everywhere I go, I meet hot men. I mean, there's nothing hotter than Richard. And my sex life is wild and fulfilling. I take the elevator up. He answers the door. He gives me flowers. Hello, beautiful. Oh, yeah, this is it. Come meet my roommates. And I walk into this kitchen, and it's all decked out. Cappuccino machine, air fryer. I mean, it's really together. And these men are sitting there, his two roommates, no shirts on. They've got nice bodies. I mean, they must work out at the dojo. I see. That's the biggest pile of cocaine I've ever seen. No, not now. Richard. And I walk into the living room. And there's a man sitting there, another roommate, without a shirt, watching TV. Jeez, what's going on? I wonder what he's watching. Oh, there's two women on the screen. They're on their knees on this white furry rug, kissing each other and holding on to the biggest penis I've ever seen. Oh, this is a porno movie. This is a setup for a gangbang. Well, they must be the bangers, and I'm the bangee. Oh, I'm a sexually liberated woman. Everywhere I go, I mean, man, I gotta get the hell out of here. Richard, I think I left the oven on, and I get my ass out of there so fast. I slink down in the elevator. I gotta reevaluate what's going on. I'm a complex sexual being. Everywhere I go, I meet not so hot men. All right, and my sex life is tame, but fulfilling.
All right, Ginger.
Thank you.
And just don't go to the dog show.
JP.
JP.
What's to follow that?